When my wife Octavia died, our only daughter chose not to attend the funeral. She had a birthday party to go to. In the depths of my grief, I made a hard decision and rewrote my will, disinheriting the child we had poured our lives into. I believed I was simply closing a painful chapter, but her reaction to losing everything would force her on a long, difficult path back to the family she had abandoned. My name is Sever Garland. I am 72 years old, and until recently, I considered myself a happy man. I was a civil engineer for 40 years, a job that allowed me to provide for my family and save for my old age. My wife's name was Octavia, a name as rare and beautiful as she was. We met at university and lived together for 47 years, a lifetime of shared books, quiet evenings, and raising our only child, our daughter, Cordelia. We poured all our love and hopes into her. Octavia, a librarian, filled her world with stories while I helped with math and physics. After college, Cordelia moved to Omaha and built a successful career at an advertising agency. We were proud. At 32, she married Barnaby Crane, a financial consultant 8 years her senior. The wedding was lavish, a great expense, but we were happy for her. The last 5 years, things began to change. Cordelia called less often. Her visits grew scarce, and when she did call, I could hear her choosing her words carefully, as if her husband, Barnaby, was listening. Then Octavia was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The doctor gave her a year. We told Cordelia immediately. She came, she cried, she promised to visit more, but the promises remained just words. During the 8 agonizing months of Octavia's illness, our daughter came only twice. I took care of my wife on my own. I read her the books she loved, held her hand through sleepless nights, and listened as she agonized over Cordelia's estrangement. "We must have done something wrong," she would whisper. I had no answer. The day before Octavia died, the doctor told me the end was near. I called Cordelia. She said she would try to come, but Barnaby had an important client meeting. I didn't insist. I understood my daughter's priorities had long since shifted away from us. Octavia died at dawn on Saturday. I held her hand as she took her last breath. I was the only one there. After the funeral home had come, I sat alone in the quiet house and called my daughter. It was 10 in the morning. Her sleepy voice told me I had woken her. "Cordelia," I began, my throat constricting. "Your mom died this morning." There was a pause. I heard a closet door slam in the background. "Oh," she finally said. Not "oh my God," not "how did it happen?" Just "oh," as if I had informed her the store was out of milk. "The funeral will be on Monday," I said, "at St. Paul's Church at 11 in the morning. Can you make it?" Again, a pause. This time I heard her whisper to Barnaby, "Mom's dead." She came back on the line, her tone shifting to one of negotiation. "Daddy," she said, "you see, it's Barnaby's birthday on Monday. We've already planned everything, invited friends. I was wondering if we could move the funeral to Tuesday." I stared at a family photograph on the wall. The 3 of us on a beach, a smiling 10-year-old Cordelia hugging our necks. That little girl would never have made such a request. "You want to postpone your mother's funeral," I said slowly, "because of your husband's birthday?" "Well, it would just be more convenient," she said hastily. "We have the restaurant booked, the cake ordered, and Mom won't find out, will she?" "True," I said, my voice cold. "Your mother won't find out, but I will, and you will." "Dad, don't be so dramatic. It's only one day. The funeral stays on Monday," I said. "If you can't make it, I understand." I hung up before she could reply. My hands were shaking. Octavia had been in agony for 8 months, and our daughter couldn't sacrifice one birthday party to say a final goodbye. Monday was gray and rainy. More people gathered at the church than I expected. Neighbors, Octavia's former colleagues, members of her book club. All of them took the time to see her off on her final journey. My brother Theodore and his family drove all the way from Missouri. But as the service went on, I kept glancing at the door, hoping against hope. The door remained closed. My only daughter did not come to her own mother's funeral. 3 days later, I was in the office of our family lawyer, Casper Winthrop. "Casper," I said, getting straight to the point, "I need to change my will." "What exactly do you want to change?" he asked. "Everything," I said. "Cordelia will no longer be my heir." I explained my decision calmly. Half of my estate would go to the children's reading charity Octavia supervised, a quarter to an animal shelter, and the remaining quarter to a cancer fund. Her personal items, her jewelry, even our family photos, all to be sold for charity. Mr. Garland, Casper warned, your daughter can contest this. I am of perfect sanity, I assured him. And I think a person who can't say goodbye to their dead mother doesn't deserve her inheritance. A week later, I signed a new will. I felt a strange sense of relief, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. I wasn't taking revenge. I was simply drawing the logical conclusion from her actions. The first few months without Octavia were the hardest. The house felt cavernous and empty. Cordelia called weekly, leaving voicemails that shifted from apology to anger. Dad, this is stupid, she said in one message. We need to support each other, not sulk like children. But where was that support when Octavia was dying? That fall, she arrived unannounced. She looked slim and well-groomed in an expensive coat. Dad, she said, I'm sorry I didn't make it to the funeral, but you can't cut off communication because of one mistake. One mistake. I looked at her, a stranger in the garden my wife had loved. Tell me about that day, Cordelia. About Barnaby's birthday. Were you happy? She turned away. I was thinking about Mom all day. But you didn't come, I stated simply. Do you regret not coming? Or do you regret that I'm angry with you? Tears welled in her eyes. What do you want me to do, Dad? Divorce Barnaby? Devote the rest of my life to you. I want you to be honest, I said. If I died tomorrow and Barnaby had an important meeting, would you come to my funeral? The long pause that followed was the only answer I needed. I didn't hear from her for months. Then, one evening, I received a call from Casper. Mr. Garland, he said, your daughter called me today. She was very upset. He had sent her a formal notice of the revised will, as required by law. She arrived that same night, pounding on my door, clutching the letter. What does this mean? She shouted, her eyes red from tears. You disinherited me because I didn't show up for the funeral? Sit down, Cordelia, I said sternly. You consider the house and money your inheritance. You're right, even though you haven't earned a penny of it. She cried, begged, and threatened to sue, to prove I was senile. Do you realize you're depriving me of my future? She yelled. Barnaby and I were counting on that money. It was then that I finally understood. To her, we were not parents, but a source of funding. What would it take for you to forgive me? She asked finally, her anger spent. Finally, the right question. Become the person you were, I answered. Remember what family is. But how? I looked at my daughter, a woman so lost in her husband's materialistic world. Divorce Barnaby, I said. Divorce the man who turned you into this. She recoiled. I can't. I love him. Or you love the comfort he provides? I countered. He didn't make you miss the funeral. You chose it yourself. But he created the value system where you could make that choice. I gave her an ultimatum. Discover who she was without him, or remain Barnaby Crane's wife, but not my daughter. It has been a year since that conversation. I am now sitting on the same veranda where I spent the last few months with Octavia. The snows have melted, and the tulips she planted are sprouting. Cordelia divorced Barnaby in December. It was painful. He took half of everything. She was left with a small apartment and a fraction of her savings. For the first few months, she called weekly, never asking for money, never mentioning the will. She simply told me about her new life, a job at a small agency for half the salary, learning to cook, rediscovering a simpler world. In January, she brought tulips to Octavia's grave. Forgive me, Mom, she whispered to the headstone. I was a different person then. A week later, I called Casper. I want to change my will, I said. Split in half. Half to Cordelia, half to the charities. She had changed. In February, she started volunteering for the same children's reading foundation I had bequeathed money to. I want to do what Mom did, she explained. This morning, she called with unexpected news. Daddy, I'm dating a man, she said. His name is Damien. He's a teacher. We met at the library, a profession Barnaby despised. They married in the fall, a modest wedding in the same church where Octavia and I had begun our life together. 2 months ago, Cordelia announced she was expecting a baby, my first grandchild. They want to name him Octavian. Reflecting on this past year, I realized a few things. Family is not about blood, but about choice. Money doesn't create character. It only reveals what's already inside. And forgiveness is not a weakness, but a strength. Octavia always believed in people's ability to change. I had forgotten that, but Cordelia, in her long journey home, reminded me. The circle has closed, and for the first time in a long time, I feel peace.